I'm excited to sit down with my guest today, Brad Sorock. Brad's an e-commerce pioneer, visionary, and co-founder of two businesses, Niche Retail and Loftopia. One thing about Brad that I really like, and it's really always fun to talk to him about, is his willingness to change and innovate and navigate the waters and the many waters and seasons of his businesses. So let's go sit down with Brad. This is Lead by Change with Brad Sorock. My name's Jeff Martin. I have a passion for change. I'm the founder of Collective Genius, a speaker, jiujutsu addict, technology advocate, and a Prius owner willing to go anywhere to hear stories of technology pioneers. Lead by Change is a series where we sit down with technology leaders outside their offices to hear their stories. As we travel from city to city, we'll meet with them and learn how they lead by change.
We talked about what is success, and I say, well, it's what your kids say about you when you're not listening, and it felt successful. Being an entrepreneur of, do we feel successful? Where am I going? What
Area.
Yeah.
This area is so cool, and nobody works over here. Seems like everybody's out walking around right now. It's Wednesday at 10:45, and no one's at work.
This is a pretty working community. It happens like on my block. I know of at least 4 others that work from home.
Oh, really?
Why that is here, I don't know.
Tell me how we paddleboard.
You just stand up, find balance, and go. The board's big enough that it's stable. When I bought these, there weren't too many different boards. I went to a trade show and I saw Surf Tech, which is one of the bigger surf companies, and they had 32 different models of paddleboards. And I was like, oh my God. They were like, yeah, we had never had a dealer in Arkansas. Now we got dealers in Arkansas. Well, they used to be surf companies.
Yeah.
Surf stores along the coast. This is amazing.
It's a whole new vertical.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit area, suburbia.
How long did you live out in Detroit?
I grew up there for my first 17 years, and then went off to school at Arizona. Took a year off, went to Europe, worked over there for a little bit, and then tried to be a ski bum out in Colorado, in a small town called Crested Butte.
How long were you out in Colorado?
I was there for 10 years, and I wound up. So I was working a job in construction and building houses, and it was great. I had days like this where I'd be in the mountains, like this is it, framing a house out in the mountains, and then. But the reality was, hard days were shoveling snow and it's freezing cold. One winter was coming around, and I wound up partnering in a fly fishing outfitting business and / ski shop in the winter, and that was a stepping stone. I just knew I wanted to get into business and figure out from there. I got to get started in business, and I partnered with a guy who was already in business, and from there I learned about trade shows and selling at retail. And we were small ski town in America is probably the best place in the world to be poor, because you're living this great lifestyle. I partnered with a buddy at the time who was running a fly fishing outfitting business, and found myself. We got his first computer and we put it all in QuickBooks, and I just loved it. We went to trade shows and the rush of getting open with it as a dealer from different accounts, and I learned a lot. And then I also learned that it was the greatest place in the world to be poor in a small ski town, because we had all the gear we needed and we were having a ton of fun. It wasn't until my son was born, or really that I was pregnant with my son unexpectedly, and I was like, well, I gotta make a living here. I can't just get by. So we found the internet as a way we had to innovate. We were making money in a couple months in the winter, or making money a couple months in the summer, and we had a long off seasons on both ends. Okay. And the internet came along like, well, maybe we could start selling online, and we were sell telemark skis. And I started telemarkski.com. And at that time, everyone was trying to be everything-to-everybody.com, planetoutdoors.com, pets.com, babymall.com. And we were just doing this little niche. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous right now when you think back, but we created some, what I guess was social then. I was putting real reviews up on the website. K2 called me, and the VP of sales there, and he said, get our stuff off your website, and I'm like, well, I'm just putting, these are really, because I would say, hey, this isn't a good powder ski, don't buy it if you're in Utah, this is definitely more of a Vermont ski, and they were like, this is absurd, you can't say negative things about our product, and I'm like, yes, I can, it's the internet. And so I was putting up real reviews, but also even ridiculous was I would put up somebody's picture on the homepage and say, if you see your picture, call me and I'll give you a free t-shirt. I'd put it up on a Monday morning, and within an hour somebody called me and like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, man, it's my homepage, and I'd send out emails of like, send us your pictures, I'll put them on the World Wide Web. And so I was in this fly fishing outfitting business and ski business, and then I was riding my bike one day and I had a Suunto watch on, and it tells your altimeter, and has an altimeter on it, tells you how many vertical feet you biked in a day or skied a day. And I thought, well, what if we niched, I got this narrow sight, a niche of telemark skiing, well, what if I narrowed down to even just one brand? So I bought the name SuuntoWatches.com for Suunto, and I called up Suunto and said, hey, I want to do this website for Suunto. And they're like, hey, we've heard of the internet, let's do it. And we started using SuuntoWatches.com about a year.
And they weren't worried that you had their URL.
At that time, this is like late 90s, maybe 99. They had SuuntoUSA.com or something of the likes, and it was a horrible website. We just took innovation and made it great, put up real reviews. And boy, between that and telemark ski and then my son was born, I'm walking down the street and I see a jogging stroller. And I bought joggingstroller.com. Well, what if we, instead of babymall.com, we just did jogging stroller? Well, by year 3, we were selling 25,000 jogging strollers a year.
And that was with niche retail.
That was with niche retail. Okay. And then we were doing all these niche sites. EliteCarSeats.com, joggingstroller.com, highchairs.com, bicycletrailers.com. Sort of there was a theme of kids, outdoors, SuuntoWatches.com. And we niched out a few brands and got legal agreements with all these brands. And it was going great. We were just going gangbusters. Like the first year, 175,000 in sales. To the next year, 2 million. The next year, it's 6 million. The next year, 10 million. It just kept.
Were you inventorying all that?
Well, we thought the perfect rule is I'll drop ship from my small house in Crested Butte, Colorado. But the reality was I wanted to control the experience, and so we wound up warehousing. And we kept going from warehouse from from my closet to my loft to my partner's basement in Detroit to a small warehouse of 1,500 square feet to all the way up to 20,000 square feet, and then 60,000 square feet. It just kept growing and going.
Wow.
So, and of course our big error was we bought a warehouse. Well, one of our errors, we made lots of errors along the way, but one of our errors was we bought a warehouse, and the boom of real estate, and then it lost most of its value being a warehouse in Detroit.
So you built it up to at its peak?
So at its peak, we were doing almost $20 million in sales, maybe 85 employees or so.
Okay.
At the time, I was building my business, and it was. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really have a long-term goal, and I was really young and I think naive of figuring out what life is about, my late 20s, early 30s, and at that time it was about the top line. How many sites can we have? How many employees can we have? How big can we get? Probably as I mature, I see it's about lifestyle, it's about my kids, it's about the bottom line. It's not this top line big business.
Yeah.
But that's just part of life too, and I'm learning my own lessons on my own journey. Many people learn it, some don't learn it.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to go through those situations to learn it, right?
It's all part of the journey, absolutely.
How much did you put into building the technology within niche retail, and how much would it cost to buy it today?
With niche retail, boy, we were pioneers. In fact, I think we had to have been one of the first, if not the first, around a company that had one company with multiple websites, right? So we had these niche markets, and we were building our site on, was it Go Live, Adobe Go Live, and we had to customize these carts and feed into one accounting system that really didn't even exist to do all this. So that was some big innovation that we paid a company to help build out this big platform. And we spent close to $1 million on that. And we had to, and it was the right move. But now you can replicate that with a Shopify, which is a great platform for $150 a month. That's just one of many examples out there of what's available on the market today. It's much cheaper to be an entrepreneur right now.
It costs money to innovate.
It costs money to be a pioneer and to innovate, absolutely. And I shouldn't say it's easy to be an entrepreneur right now. In this field that I'm in of e-commerce, it's much easier. The risk is much less.
People like you paved the path.
Did I pave that path? I mean, there's all sorts of people that paved. I think I was one of those guys that just happened to be early on to it, and early innovators, and being able to take that step. I mean, people are filled with ideas. It's people that take the step to make it happen. I'm filled with ideas that I'm like, where do I begin if I want to start this one? Is it through money? Is it going out and getting money? Is it finding the right people? It all depends on the business idea. But in this, certainly in e-commerce, we were one of the pioneers.
So what happened that things started going south versus north?
Well, one of them was the most obvious of just the market completely changed. When we started, Amazon was only selling books. And then they were out to take over all business and do free 2-day. And I'm not blaming Amazon at all, but the market changed. And at some point I saw the writing on the wall that just said, there was also the fact that we were the first. We were joggingstroller.com. We were the only one. We were embedded in Google. It was great. But right behind us, just within a year, 2-3 years later, was babyjoggingstroller.com, joggingstrollersforbaby.com, joggingstrollersuperstore.com. It was just on. There must have been 30 behind us. And so while we were still number one, just our piece of the pie kept shrinking. And we reached a peak and things started to taper. And I learned a tremendous amount from the business, but at some point we had to say, the bottom line isn't working, the lifestyle isn't working anymore, let's make a change. And I'm just one that's not afraid of change. And that change was, not to say belittle it, it was really hard. It was a really hard year of my life, the hardest year of my life, really. Having my kids at a prime age of fun at ages, I think they were 5 and 9 at the time, and moved into a small apartment, had went through a divorce. It was just a hard time of change, and it was just part of my journey. And I think I was depressed and rolled up in a ball. I know I was for about a weekend, and unfortunately...
Just one weekend?
For one weekend. And fortunately, I don't have much of a depressed bone in my body where I woke up on a Monday morning and it was similar to a morning like this. And I walked out on my front stoop and said, I just gotta go forward and let's rebuild. And we did. So we just took gathered the pieces, what do we got left, and let's put it back together.
So that's where you created Loftopia.
That's where we created Loftopia. Well, the idea of Loftopia came from my partner Tyler and close friend, and said, what do you want out of this? I just want to be in my loft. And I said, my utopia is to live my lifestyle from anywhere in the world. And I was sitting on the stoop even while I was talking to him, and I saw this guy running by, and his son was on his bike, and I thought back to the days I did that with my dad. Guys maybe training for a marathon, and I thought, this is what I want. This is what I want in my life, and to be a dad, that's number one for me. Yeah. Growing a business is great fun, and I love it, and we all have to work and we have to make money, but I want to be a dad and be a real good dad. That's my utopia, and so we thought of Loftopia as going to be the name.
So what is Loftopia?
Well, interestingly, we have two different sides of our business. We do distribution, which is real similar to what we were doing, but what we saw is that the whole landscape changed. It used to be you have a distributor, you have to find these dealers, they sell to the public. We thought, well, there's just a way to blend all this. You can be a distributor, you can sell direct, provide a great website, you can sell through Amazon and multiple different channels. You can also sell through dealers. And so we took what we learned in our retail days with Niche Retail and created this distribution network. And in fact, we even now have distribution in Australia where we bring products from here and sell them down there. And we also found that, boy, we are really good at building ourselves up, doing social media, creating content, managing our websites so that they are faster. It's not like the days of putting up a billboard and hoping to know that, well, this many people pass by it in a day. Right now we have the analytics and the capacity to be able to say, this is how many people came to our site, this is where they went on our website, this is how much time they spent on this page and that page.
You have about 25 years of experience in social media and retail, right?
Apparently, yes.
Online. Most people can't say that.
Yeah. So it was, so that's kind of what we decided, well, we can do this for other companies, and it doesn't have to be retail. And we have this whole other strength that we can then bring to ourselves. So I guess in the new way of saying it, we're a digital agency.
Part of this video series is really seeing behind the scenes on an entrepreneur or a founder or some sort of change agent, but also do an activity that they're interested in, they like to do, that place that they go to think, or that place that they go to hide. And you do paddleboarding.
Well, for me, I need to meditate out an issue, be it at home, be it my personal, be it my work. And so what is that? And I think many people find that through athletics, through running, and they find the zen. And for me, it's I really found it with paddleboarding. So one of the lessons I learned from closing Niche Retail is we have to know when to call it quits. And you could say that about a stock. The stock goes up, we all hope we just sell at the peak. You never really do, or if you do, it's probably luck. Yeah. And so with Niche Retail, we're this big company. Well, big is all relative. It was big to us. By that time, well, we had shrunken a little bit, but we were at 60 employees. We're starting to taper down. At the end, we closed it. We still had a $12 million business. But we had to be able to say, like, this isn't working. It's not meeting what we want. And to not be afraid of, we got to change. And that's okay. And here, having rebounded really well, and not to say it's not hard, it is hard, but it's there's a time to say, we got to change.